Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast, the first official podcast of 2025. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. First official podcast of 2025 because, as usual, life could be a little bit dark. Life could be a little bit, I forgot my intro, sad, depressing, whatever it is. Right, but we're here to bring you a little bit, as much light and as much joy as possible. I'm not even redoing that because, hey, why bother?
Too right.
If I redid it, it'd be an editing nightmare for my podcast partner, Stu. How are you doing, Stu?
I'm okay. Sun is shining. Birds singing. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not moaning. That's it. That's basically as far as we can go. As Januaries go, there. See, I'm doing it now. I've caught it off you.
Januarily.
Yeah, Januarily. you are generally in Januarily not very happy because it's bit of a New Year blues kind of situation, post-Christmas blues, but I'm not doing too bad, to be fair. I'm all right.
No, I agree. Sometimes, you take the Halloween cosplaying a bit too far. And when they said, oh, well, you go as a pirate, you went, all right, I go all in, you pay the price. And then, like January, you've got to recover from it all.
Yeah.
Legs. It's a leg joke.
Oh, okay.
Pirate, peg leg.
Peg leg.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right.
Not as funny when you've got to explain it.
Yeah, we're going to be having a lot of peg leg jokes for the entirety of
the rest of our lives.
Well, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. There'd be lots of stuff about legs and stuff. I probably I'll struggle if I need a number 11 to win at bingo.
True.
Yeah. That's bad. Yeah. If you've got any jokes, stick them on our Blue Sky.
Send them in, and we don't have to listen to Brad's ones. That's just always
not on Twitter. I refuse to call it the other thing. It's still Twitter. You can still put twitter.com down as well, so it's still Twitter.
I know, ridiculous.
Yeah. Where are we going? Do you know what else is ridiculous, Stu?
What's ridiculous?
The world of video games.
That's right. It certainly is.
Before we get there, actually, just very quickly, I went and saw Mufasa with Edith to make up for our last cinema attempt where I nearly died and stuff like that. Anyway, we went and saw Mufasa, right? I think I'd rather have died at watching that. It was bad.
Was it?
Yeah, again, right. Obviously, I know the Lion King reboot, like live action version, it was like everyone was like, what's the point? It's taken like the one thing that has is a load of character, the original like animation, tons of character because it's an animation, and that gets removed when you make the lions all like realistic. But at least it still had the original story and stuff like that, so you could reminisce why it was all on. This, no one needs to know the story of Mufasa. Because it comes off like, oh, he's found this brother now. Oh, well, we know who this brother's going to turn into, don't we? We know, like, oh, no, look, they're in danger. Oh, no, as lion cubs, they're in danger. I wonder if Mufasa could die. No, we know he's not going to die because we know when he dies. So it's like any point of any kind of element of danger had no element of danger to it. And then it's just like the actual story wasn't that great either, and it was just crap. And Zazu wasn't played by Rowan Atkinson or even John Oliver, so what's the point?
Yeah, it looked boring and pointless. So it was like, sod that.
Yeah, the girl liked it, so whatever. But their kids are stupid.
Yeah, they are. They're dumb. They don't play games that we like. And so moving on from that, what games have you been playing?
The Lion King on Mega Drive, that was a good game, but not that.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. That's some brutal difficulty levels, though. Anyway, Mekkablood, Quarry Assault, which is a mech-based boomer shooter, which should sound really, really, really exciting. And it's good, and there will be a but for this. Essentially, it's like, looks like, I don't know if it's made on Easy Doom or whether it's based on that engine of anything. But it's kind of got that, it's 3D, but it's like 2D first person stuff that you get with like the original Doom. Except this time you're in a mech suit. And you pick up different weapons and upgrades as you go and stuff like that. And it's a roguelike as well. So the idea is you go through, you learn, etc., etc. You try and find the best routes, and you're taking down different types of enemies that various amounts of difficulty and stuff like that. And it's fine. It's a fine game, very passable, and enjoying it. However, the problem I've got with it, and could be a me problem, but I think it's going to be an identity problem. It doesn't feel like you're powerful enough for it to be a mech game, for a start. And because you're in a mech, it's like quite slow at the start, at the very least, like very slow moving, which means it lacks the pure pace and inertia that you want from a boomer shooter. And it just feels like it didn't need to try and be both. It should be one or the other. You know, I'm quite happy just to see another boomer shooter where you're moving around fast, shooting the crap out of things. Or I'm happy to have a more slow and methodical mech game where you have maybe the power but not the speed. This kind of lacks a bit of both but wants to be both, which is a crying shame, because it was one I've been looking forward to. The concept is really, really good. I'm just not 100% sure the execution's there on it. I mean, it doesn't come out for another, I think it's a week if you're listening to this first time around. And it's not coming out, like, it's not early access. This is a full release and everything. And yeah, I don't know. It just lacks something. It feels almost in a way where it's one of those games where you played Doom, you played Castle Wolfenstein when you was younger, and then you found like this game on a tape in the market. But you this looks okay, and then you try it, and it's like, it's all right, but it's not Doom. I want more Doom. Give me more Doom. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's like its USPs aren't enough to sell it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, fair play. I was just looking at a video, and it immediately from the video it looks too floaty.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's the case when you're playing it, but what you need from a mech game, it's hard to quantify, but you definitely need that sense of, you know, weight and power, so that you don't just feel like it's a reskinned first-person avatar moving around the screen. And you need to make sure that the sort of the way that you're dashing is really important. Like, you should be slow, but you should have a dash that uses energy. Yeah. And I always think if you can, you should have, you know, like the jump, like floaty jump that you can put in as well. And without them, it could just be a first person shooter, really. And it looks like it's got those problems.
And you can do mech games very, very well in shooters, and we'll come to that very shortly. One thing that does need mentioning, and I might not have taken it had I have known this at the same time, for anyone who is planning to get it, there is an AI generated content disclosure on the Steam page. Now they say they used it's DALL-E 3 was used to help generate the textures and pixel art. No artist prompts were used, just generic terms. So Suno was used for the music. So as far as I'm aware, yes, they might not have used any artist prompts, but all AI generated art comes from already created artwork. So it is AI generated. So again, I picked it up to review. I didn't realise there was an AI content issue. That could be a big worry for people, and I understand that. I certainly wouldn't have parted with money for it. Knowing that, that's part of my thing. Because there's a lot of complaints. I think like Freedom Wars has just come out, and a lot of people assumed that was using AI content rather than text to speech that the original uses. Do you remember the old Macs where it had that really sort of like bad text to speech? It uses that's been around for donkey's years, not AI generated content. This is AI generated content within. That for a lot of people, myself included, would have been a definite no right from the very start. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's really unfortunate, and that's I'm not gonna criticise them because I don't know what their reasonings were. They might have had good intentions, but AI generated content in video games could go die in a 2D pixelated fireball for all I care.
Yeah, I'm very much of the same opinion. I wouldn't say to others what they should do, but personally, I wouldn't pay money for something I'd known in advance had AI generated content. Yes. Yeah,
but it's why we pick up these games to review and talk about, so we find out. So hopefully, like, you don't have to if that's something you're big on. Some people don't care. Don't get me wrong. Some people don't care. If you don't care, fine. There's a fine game here. It's all right. Just not. It lacks. Unfortunately. So that's Mekkablood Quarry Assault. If you want to know how to do mech fighting in first person properly, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Stu.
Well, ironically enough, and like obviously not pre-planned because we never pre-plan anything, I've been playing Titanfall 2 the last week or so, and yeah, it's a little bit of a contrast to Mekkablood. So everybody knows about it. It's years old at this point. It's about 8 years old. But I picked it up. I did a Brad. I was like, yeah, no, I don't purchase EA games. But for this, because it's so cheap and because I love the game and I want it on Steam, I'm going to make an exception, which I did. So can't really justify it. But as it only cost about £2, I don't feel too bad about it.
Sometimes you just want to enjoy something, and sometimes that's okay.
Exactly. So I played through it again, and what it does on the mech side that's particularly great is you've got that complete definition between being in the first person as a human being and doing what you'd expect humans to do plus a little extra, and mechs being basically like slightly more articulate slightly more articulated tanks that deal out vast amounts of damage, can carry vastly more firepower, but of course they're slow as shit most of the time. But you have like little bonuses, like I just mentioned before, of you can have a dash that temporarily makes you feel fast, or you can have a jump and a hovering ability that makes you feel, takes you out of danger as well. And Titanfall just does it brilliantly, and it's funny going back to it. The actual mech combat and mech play isn't as amazing as I remembered. It's really great, and it's still an amazing game. But I think I enjoy the first-person human bits just as much, if not more. But the mech side of it's really good. But the genius of it is how the levels have been designed so that you navigate them as a person and it's one thing, you're navigating it as a mech and it's something else completely. And so much thought put into the level layouts and design of that to make it fun and to split that difference and to have it as a proper viable thing. It's not just that you've got there's a 2-foot wall, better get the mech because he can step over that. Properly fully designed to accompany to fit them both. So that's one thing. The other thing that's brilliant is I'd forgotten how much Ghost Runner the game took from it. I knew that there's parkour and running on walls, but the little guy who shows you how to do it is called the Ghost Runner in the game. It's like, shit, no, I didn't even remember that. And you play it again after playing Ghost Runner and Ghost Runner 2, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, yeah, they've taken so much from this. But Ghost Runner takes it even further and does brilliant things with it. But I
disagree, but
fair enough. That's all right. Yeah,
I think Titanfall just felt totally natural, whereas I struggled with Ghost Runner personally. I get where you're coming from.
It's way more complicated in Ghost Runner. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It does some great stuff. One bit that I wish there was more of is you get a weapon. It's not a weapon, but a tool basically that can. They copy this a great deal in Ghost Runner, that you can switch things during parkour. So you'll be running along a wall, and there'll be a drop off. But if you shoot a particular button, it'll turn it on.
One level. Oh my God, there's that one level. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest individual levels of all time in video games.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And there's that, and there's the levels where you switch in time, so that there's different, furniture and doors and stuff, and that's been used at all sorts of places, but it's done really well here. And yeah, it's just overall a fabulous game. It was underrated at the time. I think it's got more prestige as it's got older. I want more of that. Thanks. That would be great.
Yeah, can we get them back onto Titanfall? Could we be done with Apex Legends now? But get them back on Titanfall.
I wish, but no. we need somebody else to pick up the reins and do something similar. Yeah.
It's such a good game. I think it is quite possibly, after Half-Life, the greatest solo FPS campaign of all time. After Half-Life and Half-Life 2. I don't think even Halo's had points in it where I was like, is this done yet? Whereas Titanfall, I got to the end and I was just like, yeah, that was spot on. Everything, the pacing throughout, the moments where it had downtime, the absolute pure inertia of points of it, the relationship between characters, everything. It was just everything about it. It felt like I think the relationship I think we mentioned something about like Short Circuit last week. It almost felt like there was that level. I mean, we're not talking sort of like War and Peace level of like relationship building or anything, but there definitely felt an element like you was watching. It could have been like Steve Guttenberg. Was it Steve Guttenberg in the first Short Circuit? It was, weren't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but him building his relationship with Johnny Five, there was the distrust, and then there was like all the other things, and they get together. There felt like that going on, that level of character building, which in a video game at the time, which we're talking 8 years ago, is pretty impressive. I'm not calling Short Circuit like the greatest bloody literary masterpiece there ever was, but it had that level of building a relationship between a robot and a human, and this was there. And on top of that as well, I think it is still one of my favourite multiplayer games ever, because you never had to be good at it to get something from it because of the way it used bots that were actually part of the game. So it was worth going after bots sometimes. If you weren't very good at person to person, you went after like essentially the little minions instead, and you still racked up points for it. So you're still doing your job for like in team deathmatch and stuff. So just everything about it, there was good reason to be in a mech. But then even if you wasn't in a mech, each mechs have weak points, which was really good, and you took their fuel cells out, and you got points for that. So you never had to be just good at shooting bits. And I think something Battlefield done really well for the most part that Call of Duty never had. And Titanfall deserved better. It was put out straight between Call of Duty and Battlefield when they were the two biggest things on the planet. Titanfall, I think, it stood the test of time better than either of those. And I would take a Titanfall remaster, Titanfall 3, as long as it doesn't go down the modern route of gaming, because it is just still one of the most amazing video games ever released.
Yep. I agree. But yeah, no, I totally on board. And I think that we miss all of that in the first person shooter space now, because you've got either Call of Duty or you've got a bunch of titles that are, well, they're kind
live services essentially.
Yeah, you've got your live services for your instant action. It's all live service games and and stuff. And then for your kind of, you've got like your stalkers and things like that, which are more RPG. And you've got some that are heavily kind of, I don't know what you'd call them, but that like they've got a lot of walking simulator aspects to them. Immersive sim
or
type
battle
things
royals as well.
And battle royales, you don't have games like this at the moment. It's a bit of a disappointment, but there you go. Titanfall 2,
it still
brilliant.
has an active community, I believe, as well.
Well, it stands alone, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I might actually boot that up this week because you've got me going to, and I might not even do like the campaign. I might just go straight into the multiplayer for a bit as well. because I've got other stuff I've got to play, and if I get into the campaign of Titanfall, that's it. I mean,
yeah, so that's what you're going to be playing in the future. But what else have you been playing this week?
well, I've been playing something from the past, but also the modern day.
Oh,
Final Fantasy VII, the first Final Fantasy, obviously, because that's the one everyone knows. It's the first one most people played. Anyone who goes, oh no, I played Final Fantasy, the original, behave. Unless you're Japanese, you didn't, right? Don't lie. Okay, no one's first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy. I mean, there won't be some people. Again, I'm not saying no one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a Final Fantasy 2 if no one played it. But come on, most people, it's Final Fantasy 7 jumped on board with. Okay, just don't stop lying to yourself. Okay. Anyway,
true story.
Amazing, yeah. And I loved the first game. Played it with a friend of mine. And we played through it in its entirety over the 4 discs. 4 discs or 3 discs? I'm sure it was 4 discs. I think it was the first 4 disc game. Might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 4. But whatever, we played it in its entirety, and it was absolutely amazing. And everyone's been wanting a remake for ages. I remember Square Enix brought out, they would have been Square Enix at the time, brought out a Final Fantasy VII, and it was just the original game with slightly up-res textures, and everyone went, no, not like this. And then it was the greatest E3 for announcements, I think, where you had The Last Guardian, Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake all announced one after the other. And it turned out only one of them was going to end up being pretty damn good. The others were pretty much disappointments. But anyway, never get excited for anything is the lesson from that. So anyway, I've been playing, finally got round to Remake. Playing it on the Steam Deck, runs brilliantly, and I think they go a bit further with the storyline, and they've kind of stretched out certain parts and certain elements. But oh my god, it is so good. It's like the fact they're able to realise some of the things they was trying to get across from the original in this version is just brilliant. I think the character voices are really well done. It's like, especially there's a, have you played it, Stu?
No, I played the demo, but it wasn't integrated. But I played the demo on the PS5, but that's all I played.
Fine. So there's a character in it called Wedge, and his voice actor for ages was bugging me. It's like, I know that voice. Why do I know that voice? And then I had to end up looking it up, and it's the guy who plays Badger in Breaking Bad. And it's yeah, okay. Yeah, he's obviously only got one voice for when he's doing American accents. And it's like, so it was like, but he's a bit of a comic relief style character in the game anyway, so it works. And yeah, it's really good. I'm like a few chapters in at the moment. I really like the combat mechanics where it's now real time mixed with being able to slow it down and then choose an action. So you can use your magic spells, but you have to earn those magic spells and stuff. It's just really, really fun to play. And I tried going back and having a little try of the original Final Fantasy VII, and you actually see it's not aged very well in terms of its overall mechanics. And definitely, like the blocky graphics, it definitely looked a lot better. Like when I was younger than it does now, obviously. And that is quite a sticking point, and the way they move and stuff. Obviously, all that has been completely refined in this complete remake. And again, an example, if you're going to go for a remake, this is how you do it. This is how Resident Evil did it with like 2, 3 and stuff like that. That's how you do it. I'm not quite sure. Apparently, Rebirth isn't that great, but I'll probably play that at some point when it's cheaper. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade it's fantastic so far, and I can't wait to work my way through it.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I didn't. I bounced off it pretty hard. Didn't really. Yeah, it wasn't really for me, that style of. It's like RPG, but like almost real time. And it just doesn't click with me at all.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think the reason it clicked with me is whenever I've played Final Fantasy, and this goes for whether it's 7, 8, X2, whatever. 8 especially was the really confusing one for me. It talked about jobs and other things you have to do, and the way you had to do things and bring them all together, and it just kind of lost me and wrecked with my head. Whereas obviously with Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can still just go in and beat shit up, and I think it's a good thing to have sometimes. I believe that is a system they use in like Final Fantasy 12 or something as well. I think it was first introduced properly, that actual real-time combat mixed with I suppose bullet time in a way. Is it? It's not actually like, it doesn't stop the action, but it like bullet times it.
Well, yeah, you kind of queue actions. You kind of queue them up. Yeah.
And this kind of does it. So you'll see like when you click the button to start doing your actions that aren't just hacking and slashing, you see things still moving very, very slowly. It's like me trying to get to a point. And it's but and that's good, because it means you can't just like sit there for ages and do like just, oh, I'm just going to sit around this and just take a break. You've still got to think while you're doing it and switch between characters and stuff like that. The artificial intelligence that's obviously not AI generated stuff, but the old school artificial intelligence means that opposing like the party doesn't always aim for the character you want them to aim for, so you haven't got the full control there unless you switch to them, but then the original character might switch and aim for the wrong enemy and things like that. So there's a little bit there where it's a bit micromanaging, but it's not a deal breaker, and I'm still playing it on normal. I can switch it to easy whenever I want, so again, well done there. I think being able to switch difficulties at any point you want is a must in games, because even if you can get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm enjoying the game in difficulty, but this boss is an absolute dickhead, you should be able to just either skip it or turn down the difficulty. But yeah, overall, I'm really, really enjoying it. I don't know how long it's meant to last. I don't know if I'll get to the end. But as it stands at the moment, it's preventing me being like desperate to buy something else. You know, I've set myself a challenge of I'm not picking up games myself to like buy unless I complete or abandon something, and I've got to actually want to abandon it, not just, oh, I want to buy this game so I'm going to abandon something. I've got to set myself that actually wants to be abandoned. And so far, Final Fantasy, I think I'm sticking with this one for a good few weeks yet.
Cool. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's really clicked with you. Yeah, can't be bad. It's good idea with the purchasing of games as well. Make that break from things and say, no, I'm abandoning that to done before you move on.
Yeah. I don't really play like many multiplayer games, so I don't know why I'm that desperate to pick up the latest titles. I will still try and get review code, but I think what usually happens, I go for review code. If I get rejected, I'm like, but I really want it.
Yeah, it's got the FOMO then, hasn't it? Yeah, the FOMO when you denied something.
Yeah. One thing I haven't been denied though, it sounds like I'm about to do some kind of weird thing. I got review code for the Lonely Mountains snowboarding game, skiing game, the sequel to Lonely Mountains Downhill. Can't say much yet, but yeah. Talking of which, Mekkablood, out of 10.
Yeah.
Obviously, Final Fantasy, out of 10. Titanfall, that touches me in certain ways, out of 10.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to do my noises. We can't not do noises out of 10.
Oh, I'd hoped they'd been forgotten, but never mind.
I mean, I just naturally make weird noises anyway, so it's...
Oh, it just comes naturally to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And some housekeeping news, I suppose.
Go on.
I'm going to get back to writing soon. I've got to find a way of setting up the iPad properly, so I've got like something to rest on, to write on, or see if I can get hold of a cheap laptop just to do some typing on, because I've got to get back to writing stuff again, because the main site's looking quite bare still. So I'm going to get back to that. So if you do prefer your content written, hopefully that will be back in the coming weeks.
Nice. Okay, that's good news.
But I don't think I've got anything else at the moment. A few games on the horizon. So we'll obviously when embargoes are up and stuff like that, we shall talk about them.
Yeah, I'm hoping to buy one today that's been looking good. Just got to check a couple of reviews, and if it's seeming good, I'll be buying that and talking about it next week.
And which is that? We need to tease. Come on.
Oh, no. Well, that is the tease. I'm not going to say, you see. Keep people in suspense.
Dickhead.
Yeah, but you knew this going in. You
can tell me off air.
I will. I won't keep you in suspense too long.
But apart from that, I'm done. Not forever, obviously. That I would have let you off that easily, Stu, but I'm done for today.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Yeah, so as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you check out our content on the website, which Brad is in the process of beefing up. You can speak to us on Discord. And apart from that, until next week, stay safe and stay sane.